And without further ado, let's go right ahead and go into this second segment. So, the headline of this article is Social Media is Going Crazy After Quinn Cook Names Steph Curry the greatest point guard of all time. And this talk about Steph Curry being the greatest point guard, it all really happened once Curry finally won his first Finals MVP for the Golden State Warriors. Like, I remember this is sort of when, like, the argument started, like, oh, Steph is the best point guard now, and things like that. Now, the Warriors, like, the star Steph Curry, he doesn't frequently, come up in GOAT debates unless, you're talking to a delusional Curry fan, but he does have a very, very impressive resume that's really hard to ignore. He's achieved nearly every accolade possible in the sport except winning a gold medal, which is going to happen now in these Olympics. So once that finishes, he's going to be able to win, or like he's going to have every single accolade you possibly could ask for in a basketball player. Now, Curry's former teammate Quinn Cook recently stirred the pot by asserting Curry's superiority over legendary point guard Magic during an appearance on Dwight Howard's Above the Rim podcast. Now, there was quote saying, "Dwayne Wade don't want no parts of Steph Curry." Cook said, this is what Cook said in a quote, and it took a sharp turn when DeMarcus Cousins defended D. Wade, and he called him the third best shooting guard of all time, which he is, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. Cook responded by shifting the focus back to Curry, declaring him the number one point guard of all time. When Cousins questioned whether Cook truly believed Curry surpassed Magic Johnson, Cook confidently replied with, "Yes, sir." However, fans did not hesitate to join the debate while a pile of them supported Cook's remarks, and they echoed the same sentiments with Cook, sharing their support for Cook's bold claim. Now, according to this article, it's saying that Quinn Cook knows ball and that, he's, like, for lack of a better term, and a lot of people seem to really believe that that Steph Curry is the better player when compared to Magic Johnson. Now, Magic Johnson might not have been, like a player that I've seen in my career, right? And, he might not have been the player that I grew up watching, similar to how, Michael Jordan wasn't the player that I grew up watching. But that doesn't mean that I don't know anything about Magic Johnson's greatness, and that I don't know what he's done throughout the entirety of his career. Like, looking at his resume in and of itself, he is arguably, like, in the top 5 or in the top 10 best players ever in basketball. And there is an argument for him being in the top 5, something that I don't think Curry has despite his stouted resume. I mean, 5 rings, 3 finals MVPs, 3 regular season MVPs, 9 finals appearances, all-time leader in assists per game. He was arguably the most complete offensive player that the world has seen before LeBron James. Again, offensive player. I will agree that Magic Johnson, despite his height, is surprisingly very lackluster on the defensive side of the ball. He didn't block shots as well as he probably should have, despite his ridiculous height over all the point guards. He didn't get that many steals, aside from the easy steals that he was able to get steals, but it's not like he was able to stand in front of a defender and pluck the ball out. It was more like, steals in the passing lane and things like that. And not to mention the handle back then, like players' handles of the ball, they weren't really all that. Like, you don't really see many people doing flashy dribbles like that, so it's very easy to steal the ball if you're any good. Now, he also, while many people really look at him for his passing, a lot of people forget just how good of a scorer he was. He averaged 20 points per game for the entirety of his career, for a majority of his career, and he was able to keep up the scoring when Kareem was getting old. And that's sort of like, an underlooked aspect of his game. Like, he wasn't that flashy like Kyrie Irving, and he wasn't that, much of a crazy finisher as, Russ or as D. Rose, but he got the job done, and that was really the thing. Like, one of the big things and one of the biggest gripes that I have with Curry was the fact that he was only able to acquire 1 Finals MVP throughout his ridiculous tenure with the Golden State Warriors, where he made the finals 5 straight years, and was able to continue making the finals despite having a new team, right? Steph Curry, he was never I mean, you could make the argument that he should have won Finals MVP in 2015, but you could also make the argument that Magic Johnson should have won Finals MVP in this year or in that year, depending on which year you're looking at when he made it to the finals. I mean, he made the finals 9 years in his entire NBA career. So it's really difficult to pinpoint exactly when he shouldn't have won or when he should have won the Finals MVP. Like, that would take a really, really deep dive into that. And Steph Curry, while he was great and he was phenomenal in his title runs, aside from 2015 and the year that he won the Finals MVP, there was no argument for him being the best player in the finals at all. I mean, he was a distant third best player in the finals, in two finals actually, behind LeBron and Kevin Durant back in 2017 and in 2018. Wasn't even the best player on the court in the finals in both of those years. And then in the year in 2000 and, when in 2019, I believe, when Kawhi Leonard took the Raptors to the finals and they faced off against Steph in the finals, Steph choked on the final shot that would have probably sent the game into overtime, and he also didn't really play that well in the final game, in the elimination game, despite being at home, and he also hasn't won a playoff game without Klay Thompson. Like, one of the things, like, it's just, I don't think you can really, I'm trying to focus on this game that's been going on. Right now, France is up 66-55 against Germany right now. But, again, like, the Magic Johnson debate, like, I mean, you could argue that the biggest weakness that Magic Johnson has, like, was his HIV. Like, that was his biggest weakness. And, like, if he didn't do all the things that he did in the 80s, his career probably would have lasted way longer than, and like that's one thing that he has over Steph right now, the longevity of just being great for a prolonged period of time. Steph is working up to there. He's getting there with the longevity, but remember, Magic Johnson made it to the finals in 1991, and he also showed that he was able to take a subpar team to the finals, which is something that Steph Curry has never been able to do. Like, what I'm about to say for Curry also applies to Magic. Like, similar to Steph, both of those two players, like Steph and Magic, they were very fortunate to be drafted in a good situation. For example, Magic Johnson played with a prime Kareem to start his career, and then was able to play with players like James Worthy. Now, it's the same thing with Steph, where he was drafted with, the Golden State Warriors. Now, while it didn't start out as a great situation like the Lakers did, eventually, they proved themselves via drafting. Klay Thompson proved to be an All-NBA player. Draymond Green proved to be an All-NBA defender and an All-NBA player. And they were able to win a championship with that team. And then later on in Steph's career, he was able to play with Kevin Durant, arguably the second best small forward at the time behind LeBron James. And then even later, when Kevin Durant decided to leave, he got the best years of Jordan Poole, he got the best years of Andrew Wiggins, he got Klay Thompson coming back from his injury, and still had Draymond Green. So Steph and, Magic, they've never not had talent around their team, especially Steph. The difference between Steph and Magic is that Magic proved that he was able to lead a subpar team to the finals in 1991, something that Steph Curry has yet to do, which is, why I would rank, one of the big catalysts as to why I would rank Magic over Steph Curry. But again, like, there's a lot more to it than that. Like, another reason why I have Magic over Steph is because of his legendary finals performances. Like, for example, Magic's 40-point game that clinched the title in Game 6 as a rookie. Or his 26, 8, and 13 average against Boston, combined with the ridiculous skyhook shot, the skyhook game winner, one of the most popular game winners in NBA Finals history, to finally put the Lakers up 3-1 in that series. Like, there are more memorable moments that Magic Johnson has in the finals and in the clutch than Steph Curry has, period. Like, I can't name you a single moment in the playoffs or even in the finals when Steph Curry was clutch. I can't. Like, there's just, if you guys can name me a moment when Steph Curry was clutch, then go right ahead, try and do that in the comments. I can't name a single moment when Steph was clutch in the finals, or let alone in the postseason. Now, with Magic, on the other hand, I can name several moments when he was clutch, but Steph, not so much. And really, the clutch performances happened from his teammates. Like, for example, in Game 6, Klay Thompson, he hit all of the threes against Oklahoma City when they were coming back 3-1. In 2017 and in 2018, it was Kevin Durant that hit the game-winning shot in Game 3 to seal the game against the Cavs. It wasn't Steph doing that. Steph had terrible Game 3s in both of those series. And there's like so many other moments that, like, you know, other players have. And on top of that, Game 7 against Houston, Steph Curry wasn't playing that well at all in the entire series against Houston. It was more so Houston missing than the Warriors doing like much on the offensive side. And there are just more moments where Magic was clutch than there was moments when Steph was clutch. And combined with that, as well as Magic Johnson being able to lead a mediocre team to the finals, I think this is what puts Magic Johnson over Steph Curry. That, as well as, you know, the fact that Magic has more championship rings, and he also has, you know, more MVPs. Now, he doesn't have more unanimous MVPs, but he's also, like, he's just the more complete player. Like, he's not that flashy, but he's just the more complete player, and his resume definitely shows it. So, that's my opinion on the Steph over Magic debate. Let me know in the comments what you guys think is, who do you guys think is the better point guard? Do you think it's Steph, or do you think it's Magic? I mean, either or. I don't really have, you know, I'm not really, you know, that fixated on that debate. Now, if you had a problem with the GOAT debate, that I could go on for hours and hours and hours. But, you know, with Steph Curry and Magic, I think Steph Curry's resume and the way that his career is turning out, you could make that argument, but I wouldn't make that argument. That's just me. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. So with that out of the way, we're going to continue talking about the Golden State Warriors, mainly about their moves in the offseason and how, you know, Steph and Draymond Green, they seem to be really excited about these moves. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that in the third segment. So be sure to tune in after this short break. I will be right back.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.